I have to tell you, I've talked to a lot of soldiers because of my son's career, and because when I worked on the Warrior, I talked to some guys I knew in New York who had served. I've never asked anyone if they killed anybody. I think that's not a question that should be asked, personally. This person, this voice, told me about this battle and that he felt guilty. And I couldn't understand what he felt guilty about. And I asked him, I said, what do you feel guilty about? And he told me. And this is such a gift because it came from his heart and without prompting. I just want to say that, even though we don't know who he is, you know, it's just it was a beautiful moment, that kind of honesty and authenticity. Let's see, I'm going to read you a little piece from Iraq. There are several different voices, but I'm only going to read you one. This is a young soldier who served over there, told me this story. We guarded this bridge the first month we were there, and we had a lot of the locals, especially the kids, come by and talk to us. The kids were my biggest thing. Kids are kids. It doesn't matter if they're Iraqi or American. You're a soldier, so they want to talk to you. And that was one of the coolest parts for me, having a kid come up and say hi and toss him a thing of water. There was a kid there, Omar. He'd sell us knives, handcuffs, random trinkets he'd picked up here and there from being a kid in Iraq. He was like the traveling salesman. He always rode an old beat-up Vespa scooter. Iraq back then was a bad place to be, but it definitely had its moments. He would travel back and forth between the Green Zone and Taji, spoke awesome English, would sit there and tell us jokes, crude, pardon my French, smart-ass little 12-year-old. He would point out people and tell us that was an Alibaba bad guy. He'd be 18 or 19 today. I think about him every day. Doesn't that sound like poetry to you? I just think it's beautiful poetry. I couldn't have done better. Let's see. Oh, this is great. This didn't make it into our thing for tomorrow night, so I'm going to read it here. I asked one guy, I asked sensory questions, you know, because I was going to write a poem from this. So I was asking about tastes and smells and what do you remember, and are there things that when you got home, it's just like you never wanted to see them or smell them again? And this guy says, well, he went on for I don't know how long about beef jerky. He never wanted to see it again. He did not. It was as if I was asking him to eat some beef jerky. He was like, never wanted to see it again, never wanted to smell it, never wanted to, you know, nobody could make him. He actually said that. Nobody could make him eat beef jerky again. And I said, well, what else? And he said, well, the smell of tobacco. He said, I don't smoke, and I really hate the smell of tobacco. And he said, and sunflower seeds. And then he went to the next thing. I said, wait a minute, sunflower seeds in Iraq? Everybody has a vice over there because it keeps them awake and it keeps them going. I like to run long distances, so smoking obviously is not in the cards for me. And I just can't stand dipping. I tried it and it made me throw up. So I chewed sunflower seeds as my vice. It just gave me something to do while I was in the turret of my Humvee behind the machine gun. I chewed sunflower seeds. I love that. I can definitely say that I'm a different person than I was before I went over the first time. Just a lot more self-confident, and I guess a lot more, I don't know what the word is for it, I value things a lot more than I did. And it wasn't like being a teenager and not valuing stuff and then becoming an adult and having responsibilities. It was going from hometown USA to seeing probably the worst that you can see. I guess for me, it made me value everything, life, the little things, family, friends. It really hit home what can happen in the world. This is from Afghanistan. I have a section on Iraq. I want to read a section from Afghanistan. I was a combat medic. Hundreds and hundreds of people wanted to be seen. So the line started very, very early before we ever got there. There was a boy about 8 or 9, and he had been standing in line for his family. There was probably about 6 inches of snow on the ground. We had a couple of soldiers that were walking the lines of security, and they found him. His family needed medical attention, and he went and stood in line to the point where he had frostbite on his feet. And when we grabbed him and took him out of line and took him to the front to be seen first, the look on his face was everlasting. I'm going to see how much, I'm going to read one more, right? This is killing me, and I can't read you the whole thing. I'm going to read you two more. This is called, sorry. I mean, you know, I'm in love with this. I'm in love with these voices. Okay, so this is called Grace. Everything went white, and then we were flying through the air, I know, but someone grabbed onto me, and I felt really secure. When I was flying through the air, it was a lady that grabbed me. I don't know who she was. She just whispered my name in my ear. And then I remember hitting the ground on my back. It was like getting sucker punched. It was burning me. I haven't told many people this. Some people might go, oh yeah, whatever. You just got your bell rung. The lady, she grabbed me from behind. I don't know how to explain this, but when she talked, I could see her. I'd seen her before, but I'd never seen her. I think she had light hair. There's an aura when somebody dies. They're still there for a while. I've seen that. Honestly, I think she's always been around me. It was like, oh yeah, I remember that voice. It was a sweet, nice voice. She held on to me tight, and then I hit the ground, and that was it. She was gone. That's from a real tough guy soldier, by the way, who will remain anonymous forever. So cute. Okay, so this is the last one. This is from the section called Irretrievable Losses. And I think that speaks for itself. The first place I wanted to go was Willamette National Cemetery in Portland. I'd lost my friend Kenny on my deployment, and I was just kind of in a rush to get up there. We were in the same fire team. We were roommates at Train Up and roommates overseas, so up until he passed away, we'd gotten pretty close. I didn't grow up with brothers, but I can imagine that he was the closest that you can get without being blood related. It's not like I'd known him in middle school, but being tossed into the things we were being tossed into can form bonds that are really a lot stronger and a lot faster. He was just more a brother to me than anything. We fought alongside each other and we fought with each other sometimes, but we were always there for each other. So the worst thing for me personally about the whole ordeal is the reason I wasn't there. He actually had his leave scheduled for the end of July when he passed, and I wanted to get home because I was a little homesick, and he ended up giving me his leave so I could go home. The day I found out about it, I was actually at the airport in Portland flying back to Iraq. So it was kind of difficult because of the way I found out about it, and because he shouldn't have even been where he was. He was just a good guy, and he said, hey, take my leave. If you want to go, you can have mine. When I go and visit his dad is when the whole thing really hits home for me. I have dreams about, times we've had together. The last air assault mission I went on was the first and only time I'd ever been to the place where he died. I have weird dreams where I can almost envision how things happened. But as far as him, I don't feel like he's ever really left. He's just not around. I don't want to sound loony, but I can almost sit down and have a conversation with him. It's really a powerful time for me when I go up there to his resting place. It's kind of down the side of a hill, and he said this, it's Oregon, so everything's green and grassy. It's really well kept up. I don't think there could be a more peaceful place for me. It's probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Yeah, I read poetry, mostly older stuff. I read the whole set of Dante's Grand Something. It has the Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. I like to read older stuff like that, off-the-wall stuff. Kenny introduced me to Dante. We were sitting on QRF, just kind of waiting one day, and he pulled it out and was showing it to me, and I said, yeah, I'll read that. And I ended up reading the Inferno in one day. That was something that was kind of special to me because it was something that Kenny introduced me to. I still have the book he let me read. He was one of the smartest people I've ever met. I guess the whole grand scheme of the Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise was Dante trying to find his wife that was taken from him. I'm not trying to find my wife, but trying to get to the other side of the whole ordeal. The biggest thing I liked about that poem was the fact that Dante was willing to go through all that strife for something that he wanted. I like that idea. Voices of Your Guard. Okay, so Q&A.